Welcome to tonight's episode of Revolution, Evolution, Solution podcast. Hello everyone, it's Avi with Revolution, Evolution, Solution podcast.
Alright everybody, it's time for the segment with my guest. This is my very first guest, and he's a very special person. I've been following him on YouTube for a while. He has a lot of insight into what's going on, and that's why he's on this show. And I'm going to get right to him and let him introduce himself to you.
All right. Yeah. Well, thanks. I didn't realize you were such a good follower and supporter. I always appreciate and thank you for that. But no, I've, just been trying to wake people up for many years. Got several channels and trying to expose some truths, some lies, some conspiracy things, and then covering a wide range of topics and discussions. So, no, I'm glad you asked me to come on here so we can have an open, talk about things. So this is great. This is great. And you're starting a new podcast routine here. So let's hope this works out great for both of us.
Oh, I thank you so much for that. And it's an honor to have you here, and that, I'm a nobody basically, and you have your thing going and you decide to come and help me out. So that's very, very nice of you.
Yeah. Good.
So do me a favor before we get into the topics that we're going to get into. Tell the viewers or the listeners more about your channel, how long you've been doing it, what's your channel name, and all that good stuff.
Okay. I did talk radio in out of Southern California and got a franchise in Phoenix area. So I did talk radio in Southern California in the early 2000s, mostly after 9/11. I felt there was a need to get on. I didn't like the idea that this was an inside job. I was working on a book on the side too, so I wanted to stay home with my kids. And after I predicted the 2008 collapse, I moved my family out of the United States. I didn't want my kids growing up there. I moved down to Costa Rica and became a true expatriate. While I was down here, I decided to buy a radio station, and that's another long story, but I got on the internet with the radio station, an internet type of radio station. And then I got into YouTube since like 2011. So I've been doing this for a good 9 years. My handle was Dr. Meno. That's what I was going with on the radio down there. So I kind of kept that same internet type of name. And in the past few years, and my motto with the Dr. Meno was trying to change the world one mind at a time. Given if I could reach one person and that one person could reach 5 or 10, then eventually we can change the world as a whole. It's been a struggle. So then I came up with this other handle called the Peace Terrorist, which is getting a lot of slack on the internet because they don't like that word terrorist. And they certainly don't understand the concept of peace, obviously. But the motto of that is trying to spread peace as fast as fear. And people just don't get it. But I'm keeping it. I'm standing by it. I believe in these two modes of thinking. So I have several channels. I'm banned on some, censored on others. I got like 4 YouTube channels for different reasons. One of them in Spanish. I got BitChute and I got Utah Gun Exchange going on. Vimeo wiped me out a couple years ago because they didn't like the exposing pedophiles. And I think that's what the videos that they finally wiped me out on. So all that was all wiped out. I had hundreds of videos. I got over 800 videos on my most popular YouTube channel. But, it's tough. It's tough because the internet is so sanctioned and so censored. It's hard to actually find me on there. I do have some followers, but who knows? Who knows? It doesn't matter because if my subs aren't reflecting it, that's okay because people are watching my videos. And if it doesn't count on the views and subs, that's okay because it's in their minds. They got exposed to what I was trying to do. So I've been down here in Costa Rica for about 15 years. Once again, just trying to change the world one mind at a time and get people exposed to some of the truths, some of the atrocities of the United States. when I was doing talk radio up there, I concentrated on the United States mostly and all the issues within the country. Once I got down here, I went global, went international about the stuff going on around the world, and realized the United States hands, their talons are in so many places, corrupting so many things that I was just even flabbergasted more. But I'm still continuing putting videos out, covering the virus stuff, covering just about everything, covering the problems in Venezuela. I got something like 30-some videos about Venezuela. Then Nicaragua is really close with Daniel Ortega. I got 20-some videos. So I'll pick a little area and just concentrate on doing some videos about that. Overall, I cover just about everything. A potpourri of knowledge and information is how I guess I could say it. So that's a little rundown. You know, I'm had several jobs, different kind of jobs. We can maybe go into that later. Education, a pretty well background on education. So I think I got a good resource, a good background of pulling information and experience to share with everybody. So that's what I'm doing. That's kind of like my goal in life here now is doing that. Watching the world, you know, turn and pass every day and looking at all the events. And sometimes I get frustrated. Sometimes I feel satisfied about what I'm doing, but that's how it's all about. So there's a little rundown.
All right, that's great. I want to go back to when you were talking about your names. When I first started talking to you, I see that, the peace terrorist. And it's crazy how you say it. Like, it's just a natural reaction to that word, terrorist. It just, and it's been ingrained in us since, I want to say since before 9/11, but definitely when 9/11 happened and it hit our soil really hard and we got bombarded with terrorism. Like, anytime you hear that, you just get a negative connotation to it.
Yeah.
And it is a negative word, but I mean, when somebody tries to use it in a positive sense, your mind automatically wants to say, oh, that sounds weird. Why are you using that word?
Yep, and the analogs of YouTube, they'll pick it up, and then, you know, you're sanctioned without even given a chance, you know. So it's been
People would actually pay attention, and you're saying peace terrorists, meaning you're terrorizing with peace, but people just skip over the peace word and they just go straight to the other word.
Yeah, the internet, these algorithms, they don't have a concept of what peace means. So, and you know how, well, the idea was, you know how terrorists can spread fear in people's mind so fast, even just by a bogus news article. Why can't peace spread through people's minds just as fast? What's the problem with that? Why can't peace be just like out there so fast, like the feeling of fear? Peace gives you a good feeling, fear gives you a bad feeling. So why not spread good feelings around the world? But it's a tough sell.
My answer to that would be is there is a lot of peace in the world, really, but that's not what they want us to focus on. They bombard us with unpeaceful things. So it's hard, even though we have moments of peace, we don't really pay attention to it because a few seconds later, you're going to see something that's not peaceful. You're going to hear something that's not peaceful. So like they say, it's sometimes the good things, it's easy to forget, and the negative things stay in your brain longer.
Yeah, that's true. And, peace don't sell news and commercials.
Oh, definitely doesn't.
Yeah.
You know how many peaceful things happen, how many good things happen, but that's not, they don't want to call that news. They're not going to say, oh, this man, he's a great father, and he paid for his son's education, bought him a car, and they're really happy, and he's doing really good in school. That wouldn't be considered news. No. News is only, who got robbed, who got shot, who's doing drugs, who's corrupted. It's nothing. They're never going to say something. They barely ever put anything positive in the world.
Yeah. No, that's the human being in some respects. And
it is an illusion because there's a lot of good things happening, but they don't want us to look at that. They want us to be in constant fear. Yep.
That terrorist mentality is It spreads too fast. It just spreads too fast.
What happens when you're in fear? When you're in fear, you act irrational. So they want you to act irrational. They want you to not be focused on rational good things.
Yeah, that could be part of the problems reaction solution routine is spread that terror around, and then we'll come up with a solution for you, and we're the government, and we're going to help you. We're going to solve all your problems, even the ones that we created for you.
Yeah. Wasn't it? I'm not sure if it was you or where did I hear this, but just recently in somebody's show on YouTube, I heard the whole the government breaks your leg and then gives you a crutch, but you wouldn't need the crutch if they hadn't broken your leg in the first place.
Exactly. That's the whole idea. Yep. Exactly. That's a good way of putting it. I wish I would have said that, but no. But yeah, similar theory. Exactly. They break your leg, and now they go, oh, we're here to help you, although we broke your leg. But that's how we enter in all these wars and everything is destroying countries. And okay, we're going to come in and help you, but Halliburton doesn't really do stuff like that. They take the money and leave. So
yeah, pretty much every war is kind of like that. They start it internally in that country, so then they have a reason to go in there.
Yeah, and that's got to stop. People need to wake up just for the whole warring going on, this whole imperialistic warring and taking over. And I mean, gosh, people just don't understand it. I think what would wake people up is if the United States actually had a war within the United States, because they don't understand the ramifications of having a war on your home ground. Yeah, a couple of terrorist things here and there, but a real war, like we see the devastation in Syria and Iraq and Libya and other parts of the world, Kosovo back then, and some of these African countries. We don't have a clue what it's like to be living in a war-torn country. And I think that might be a wake-up point for a lot of the people living in the United States to experience that and be humble. Of course, there's going to be a lot of people dying, but nobody's doing anything to stop that. And eventually it could come to the United States. Even the depopulation, losing 87% of the population up there. What's going to contribute to that? Well, we got several factors. So until people realize this devastation that their taxpayer money is going to, then they're not going to realize the ramifications and the atrocities that are being committed around the world, and the assassinations, the takeovers, the bombing, the corporate industrial complexes going on, and the support of all that.
But so if you think about this, I'm sorry to interrupt you. If you think about this, notice that, let's say in the times of the kings and the queens and around there, they did kind of make up reasons to go to war, but not so much. Back then it was more like, I'm just going to go conquer them. They didn't have to do that many false flags. They kind of did whatever they wanted, and the peasants had to take it.
Yeah.
Throughout time, what they consider peasants or us, we started getting more vocal about being against wars. And now we have more of a say because, now we're more free than we were before, and they use our money and our hard labor in order to fund all their evil plans. So they kind of need us temporarily to go along with it.
Oh, we're bankrolling it through taxes.
Yeah, exactly. But listen to this, though. What is the New World Order about? You remember the speech from Bush?
Yeah.
What was he saying? What do you think he was saying when his I forgot when he said something like
well, we're getting ready for the New World Order, and he mentioned it several times in the speech. Is basically planting the seed that it's eventually going to come. So be prepared.
Yeah, but how did he describe it, though? You remember?
As something good and comforting, and it's like order. Like, oh wow, we have all this confusion, and now the term order and it's something new, like a new ingredient in a new product or something. So it's a sales pitch.
The rule of law and not the rule of the jungle. When he said that, for a while I was like, what does it mean by the rule of the jungle?
That's right. Yeah, that one phrase there kicked it into gear. Yeah.
I think what he means is the New World Order is a one world government. So like that, you won't have all these wars and revolutions because there's only one government. There's not going to be fighting in between countries, like survival of the fittest. You know what I mean?
Well, the fighting would be amongst the order and the suppressive.
Yeah, but they're not going to tell us that. They're selling it to us as we're going to have a one world government, like that wars will end. And, we're going to serve our people. But once they establish it, we're going to quickly find out that they're not for us. They just want more control.
Yep, control. That's what it's all about. Control the masses.
But think about this. So the New World Order is selling it as a better order than what we have now, where countries are sovereign. They're pretty much saying if you have sovereign countries, you're always going to have chaos. Right? So the point you mentioned, and this is why I'm bringing this subject up, is when you said if we were to have war in our country, then we would really be against it, right? Because we will experience face to face how bad it is.
Yep.
Because we're supposed to be the leader of the world. So if the people of America keep supporting wars, right? So it keeps happening. But once the people of America get super against it, then they could end it. But they're going to end it with, the actual people are going to ask for the New World Order.
Yep. That's the plan. They're going to be set up as a savior and instill total destruction around the world. And they come in with their mother hand, helping hand, and then everybody will bow down. But then that's the total breakdown of the human will at that level.
Yes.
And that's what it's all about, breaking down the human will.
But that's what I'm saying. Like you're saying that if we were to experience that, we would be against it. But they're counting on that. They just didn't do it before because they wanted to continue the funding and the slave labor and all that. Now when they're ready to finish it off, now they're okay with us being against war because that plays into their New World Order.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They like to be a step ahead. I'm telling you, they're really. If you really pay attention to it, they're always a step ahead.
Oh yeah. Well that's the plan. That's in the books. That's written. It is written, so it will be done, as the Pharaoh says.
Yeah. So, if you don't mind, I'm gonna call you Dr. Meno.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. My education is in philosophy and sociology and some broadcasting, but I consider myself a self-proclaimed social philosopher. So, plus I took a bunch of engineering classes, but then decided that wasn't education. And instead of studying the physical world, I jumped into the metaphysical world of philosophy. So that's kind of like where a lot of my orientation is on that level.
I could say the same now. I haven't studied it, but I've always leaned towards it and basically studied it in a way on my own, but no actual legit institution taught me, if that makes sense.
Well, that's okay because sometimes it comes natural for people. So thinking and asking the right questions to get the right answers. So
let me ask you. I can't really hear you that well right now. Are you farther away?
Well, no. It just started raining here, and that happens sometimes. So I don't know if you want to maybe continue this later or cut it off soon. We can do that. I do live in the rainforest, and it is our rainy season.
Better now, so I don't know whatever you did right now. It worked.
So yeah, like I said, I'm just kind of leaning closer. What I'm doing is I'm talking into my computer, and that's how this is kind of set up. So
yeah, if you lean closer, I could hear you over the rain. But if you're a little bit far back, it makes
I'll just get a little closer here. Yeah, but yeah, that's the whole idea. Maybe next time I'll get a microphone set up here.
Yeah, or even just those headphones that work as microphones.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? That they're the 4-in-1.
Yeah, that I don't have, unfortunately. My kids did, but I don't. So
If
yeah,
you got, well, I don't know about in Costa Rica, but here you get that for $1. They're not the best, but they definitely do the job. So.
yeah, they're probably about the same here then too, I would imagine. So, now I'll just get a little closer here. But yeah, that's what happens. It rains sometimes. So
It's all right.
we've had some pretty. Last week we had some pretty good storms come through. So, but heck, that's okay.
But Costa Rica is not a place that at least they don't get hit with a lot of hurricanes or anything like that.
No, the idea is they start down here close to the equator. By the time they get any speed or force up, they're hitting Mexico. We'll get slapped on the Atlantic side from some of the hurricanes coming in the Caribbean side. But I'm on the Pacific side, so we'll get slapped with some rainstorms, but the Atlantic side will get hit more. I mean, there's a mountain range that blocks a lot of that cloud movement. But there's been hurricanes and storms down here in the past, a big one in the 90s and things like that. So they do get their rain.
Yeah, I ask because I usually follow hurricanes. I find them interesting. Something about hurricanes appeals me. I don't like the damage they do, but I still like. I admire it in a way.
Yeah, nature's phenomena.
Yeah,
nature's phenomena.
So I was asking because I usually don't hear, this hurricane's going to Costa Rica. It's not something I usually.
Yeah, no, you usually don't. Like I said, usually they our area, and by the time they move north is when they gain their speed and their force and their strength. So actually it's not bad at all. I get about 200 inches of rain a year.
Yeah, I was gonna say that like sometimes. Because this is the thing, like there's always an extreme on Earth. So maybe you don't get hurricanes, but you'll get earthquakes, or you don't get earthquakes, but you'll get monsoons and amounts of rain, or you'll get a volcano. Wherever you are, there's going to be something that nature.
There's some natural force that you're going to have to succumb by, and in California, I've been through some pretty good earthquakes and shakers up there. So, the big one in '71 when I was a kid. And, I wasn't around in the '94 earthquake, but that was pretty big around there. But you always get shaking. It's always shaking there throughout the year. So I'm kind of used to it. And yeah, Costa Rica, we get earthquakes here. They're mostly volcano actuated. There's still a few volcanoes around here that will spit out some steam and smoke, and then they got to close the airport down because of all the silicone in the air that will damage the jet engine. So that happens a lot here, actually. But it's a rainy season. That's what it's about. But no, we'll just it's slowing down so we can continue here.
So when we spoke yesterday before doing the podcast, I gave you 2 news articles which I found interesting. Did you get to read them?
Yes, I did. I even contacted some friends in Italy and told them what was in this particular article from the Schmele Times, and they pretty much confirmed some stuff and denied some other stuff. But yeah, I guess most of the stuff in this article was pretty good, but some of the stats were off a little bit. The one thing I found pretty humorous was that my friend confirmed was when you go out dancing or in a disco at a nightclub, you got to maintain your social distancing. And I'm just trying to imagine that, so I guess slow dancing is out. I don't know. But I'm imagining in a dance floor, everybody's got their social distancing going on and rocking out. I just think that's a funny image that I would like to see, actually. But some of the stats, were there. But yeah, a lot of old people died there because they do have one of the largest senior populations in the world there because people live longer there. And a lot of them were dying. So let's see, June survey found that 83% of Italians always wore masks outside the homes. Well, my friend said that's not true. At the beaches, people aren't really wearing their masks. But in restaurants, yeah, they are, stuff like that.
Yeah, I was asking because they try to do propaganda. So one of the best ways for them to do it is like, okay, Italy learned their lesson, so they're obeying all the guidelines. They're being good citizens, so we should do it too. I wanted to see, how much they're exaggerating, or if really people are just taking this serious and following everything. So
yeah, because their theme is returning to normal life. Well, this ain't normal life when you can't dance with your partner but 2 meters away, or wearing masks, or doing this and doing that. See, they're trying to instill that, right, this is the new normality, but it's not normal because nobody was doing that before. But they're trying to, it's a form of little brainwashing, right? It's trying to tell, well, now this is the normal. This is what we got to do now because we say so, So, in the restaurants, don't take the names of their diners there, at least in the town that this lady was at. So they don't, like I said, 83% of the times, they don't, that's not really true there. But they're trying to establish that as a norm. Well, 83% of the people are going to be wearing masks, so they're trying to put some kind of crap in there that...
It's a stigma. So they're basically saying the majority of people are going to do it. Why are you going to be the only one, not doing it?
Yeah, maybe the smelly times saying, look, Italy's doing it. They got hit really hard. Remember, we reported on it, all the people dying there, Well,
Italy, even for Italy itself, though, like, I'm sure they have a similar article in Italy like that. So, like, let's say there's a few people who don't want to wear masks and all that kind of stuff. They'll still push the lie that 80% or 83%, like, they'll make up a number just to prove a point that you'll be in the minority.
Yeah, and I don't know how much of they were doing that in Italy with the death rate figures, but in the United States, we're putting down false death certificate conclusions about people dying with the coronavirus when somebody died on a motorcycle, or some tweakers died in a drug home fire, and then they're putting all that down as corona stuff. I even joked about that today. Over the weekend, 2 couples got drowned fishing out here in Costa Rica, and then another couple people drowned. I said, well, they're probably going to write down that the cause was coronavirus, but I don't think Costa Rica has really been doing that too much. But I don't know. I can't say. There really hasn't been that many deaths here, but they're implementing this restrictions, and this is what I noticed. The restrictions are like across the board around the world. It's like somebody else above everything is saying all this stuff, and all these countries are doing it, whether they wanted to or not. They're telling them this is what you're going to do because it's too consistent around the world. This is what I found kind of strange.
Not only that, another pattern that I noticed is China, Hong Kong, all these Asian countries which were closer to the epicenter when it started, they have the least numbers, but they're also the places that had the most strict restrictions on the people. So they're pushing this narrative, if you want to stop the deaths, if you want, all these things, then you have to be as strict as these countries are.
Yeah, using them as examples. Yeah, and also this lady said that even at the beach, that it's pretty crowded and hardly anybody's wearing masks at the beach now. So, which they're supposed to be, because she showed me pictures before where they have these plastic dividers at the beach where people were sitting in between them. But I don't think they have that anymore, because they're trying to say, yeah, well, things are getting back to normal. People are returning to their normal lifestyle. But see, that's not right. It's not their normal lifestyle anymore. It's a new order of lifestyle. I love these play of words here. So
yep,
yeah,
very true. Let's go on to the next article, which was the Neuralink that Musk is trying to perfect and give out.
Mr. Musk.
What do you think about Musk in general, and what do you think about this Neuralink?
Well, I did pull up his Wikipedia thing, and they had a little spiel there about the Neuralink. So I did a little research on him just to get some background. I never liked the guy. I never liked the way he looked. Of course, if you following me on my YouTube stuff, you know how I feel about the moon landing, and I think that was one of the biggest lies and hoax that they fooled everybody with. But this guy is playing on it. Now, this whole Mars thing, because he's saying, I want to colonize Mars with human beings, to sustain accountable, sustaining living, and that term's been throwing out there too much, which is very suspicious because even the New World Order and Agenda 21 people use it too much. Sustainable subsistence living and stuff. And wait a minute, we haven't even solved our problems on Earth. What makes us think we're going to go out there and have a amenable community and society when we can't even have one here? So, I don't know, now this brain thing, this neurotechnology, this could be another big BS thing where maybe he's getting some millions, hundreds of millions of dollars of funding from the side from this. I don't know, I still got my reservations about him doing this, whether it's an actual thing or not, whether he's just got so much money he doesn't know what to do with it. But this mind controlling, the funny thing about it, Edward Bernays tapped into it and been doing it for like almost 100 years now, and the propaganda media is doing it. Mind control, just pure mind control. It's already going on. It's already happening, and now he's trying to put a little a rice thing or something in our brains to modify our thinking process. They're using it as an excuse that, well, maybe people with autism, epileptics, people with spinal injuries, this new technology, this Neuralink will help all these people. But, this is what they're selling realistically. It's all about, is this going to be part of the GPS system? These little freaking things in your head or in your skin? They're
all going to be connected. There's no way they're going to give us all these positive things without being able to track us. And they do it already with the phone, so why wouldn't they, put it in your mind just to?
Well, yeah. See, they've been already doing this for years and years already. So this is just a more technological aspect of it, and then the whole idea about being hacked. Well, we know that car computers can be easily hacked through some of these IT brainers, So
I think it's so dangerous because if it could be hacked, how they're warning, the amount of false flags you could do with that is incredible.
Now, if they're going to force this vaccine on everybody, this could be the next phase is forcing people to stick these little chips in your brain. Maybe this whole vaccination thing is a precursor, once again, of a bigger picture of this coming. But see, I don't know, they still got a lot of years ahead of them to get this to that mode. But I don't know, this is all like secret research. I'm also wondering how much government funding is being involved in this technology, or grants or gifts from the government, or actually the taxpayers, yourself, is funding this operation here. But it's crazy, I don't know. This is another thing to wait and see what's going to come out of all this. I mean, he's still a young guy, so he's still got quite a few years ahead of him. And he's got the money to make his life pretty comfortable. So,
what I find interesting about Musk is that it might be a weird analogy, but he's like the Trump of technology. And why do I say that? I'm gonna say the Biden or the Democrat side of technology is like Bill Gates, for example, and Musk is more like the right side. And why do I say that? If you watch interviews with Musk and you kind of get a feel for him, he's kind of like more capitalistic, more make your money, more of a cool hustler type of thing, while Microsoft and Bill Gates tries to, we're here to help you, we care about everybody. when in reality they're stabbing you in the back. And another thing, like, from what I understand, Neuralink, his main goal with that, as he claims, is to counterfight the rise of AI machines.
Well,
he's saying that if we're gonna stand a chance against AI, we got to be basically part robot ourselves.
Yeah, here's a line here from the Wikipedia. Musk sees Neuralink and OpenAI as related. OpenAI is a nonprofit dedicated to minimizing the dangers of artificial intelligence, while Neuralink is working on ways to implant technology into our brains to create mind-computer interfaces. He's contradicting himself. I think he's playing this philanthropist type of role when actually, like you said, he's a capitalist first. And to be, philanthropic. Oh God, I can't even spit out that word.
Philanthropist.
Right. Thank you. I was almost going to spit it out in Spanish, but I couldn't even think of that one either. But yeah, so he's playing this like Bill Gates is trying to play the philanthropist, and basically, behind the scenes, he wants to inject and eliminate 80% of the population, 5 billion people. So,
but if you notice that it's both the same end goal.
Yeah, it is control, mind control.
Like whether you're being controlled by an AI that's outside of your body, or you're being controlled by an AI inside of your body. Either way, technology is going to control you.
Technology is the demise of the human race. Unfortunately, technology was supposed to help out the human race as a whole, but all it has done is been used against the human race, against people, for the benefit of the corporation. I think the whole human race went off on the wrong track at the Industrial Revolution 300, 400, 500 years ago, because of all the energy, thinking process, money spent, time spent on developing an industrial revolution, an industrial society. If all that could have been diverted and put into understanding how our mind works, we would be so much better off as a human race than what we are now. Because today's technology has been used against us as a human race, as a citizenry, and only for the benefit of the corporations to make more money, to take advantage of our human nature in such ways that they'll soak us to poverty and total control, just total control. So we went off on the wrong track a long time ago, and it's just getting worse and worse. Even this contact tracing, is to control us. Well, see, it's not used for it to be used in our favor. Then why aren't we contact tracing all these madams in D.C. and when we see them very close, their phones are close to an elected official, why aren't the police sent in, or the thought police even? When we see a congressman or senator about ready to sodomize a congressional aide, why aren't we doing something about that and getting after those guys? A cop getting a blowjob from a street girl, in the back of a squad car. Why isn't it being used for that? Why isn't it being used to track down these inside traders on Wall Street? Why aren't it being used, this technology being used to go after the white-collar criminals, to go after our politicians that are lying through their teeth, that are accepting bribes and lobby money under the table? Why won't it being used in that respect, but being used against us to have control over us?
Again, it's what I told you before we started this current recording of the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Is there's nothing evil in and of itself. A gun isn't evil. It's how you use it. And technology is the same. We could have used technology to empower our human nature.
Exactly.
And find cures and all these things. But no, they're using technology to hurt us, not to help us.
Exactly. Yep. That's the whole point, and the whole what's right and wrong about it all. It's not being used for our favor. And I'm working on a video now where this NASA guy was talking about in It was on an RT sideshow. And I've always said all this technology that came out of NASA, that came out of the military, that was used by taxpayers' money to develop. The computer was developed on our taxpayer money. How did Microsoft and Apple get a hold of all this technology? Why did all this technology that we paid for as a taxpayer go in the hands of private corporations for them to take advantage of it? If I was president, I would keep this within the country, and we will have our own little corporations and sell these products, goods, and services that the taxpayer paid for. GPS, smartphones, basic computer stuff. We developed that as taxpayers, but why did it get into the other hands for their benefit and not for the benefit of the general public? Can you imagine that we would never have to pay any taxes, that the government might be paying us dividends for the products, goods, and services that we develop as a taxpayer? The whole space program and the technology, the whole space program was our doings with our money as taxpayers.
It's very simple, though. Like, if they give all that, if they divide it into the people, then the people have the power. But if only a select few get all the benefits, then, like, you know, their whole agenda gets played easier. You can't have, what's that say? You can't have too many cooks in the kitchen, right?
Right. Too many cooks spoil the soup.
Yeah. So, like, they can't allow us to have access to all this technology. They use our work, and then they keep that technology for their benefit.
Yeah, and
if not, they wouldn't have any agenda that's going to work, because there's different minds, there's different ideas. When you have a lot of people, you have different opinions. When we have a small group of people that are in charge of everything, they could be more in alignment.
Yeah, and that's called government. Your government.
That's what government means. Govern your mind. Yep. Mente is mind.
That's right. That's right. In Spanish, the root, the Latin root. That's right. Yeah.
They tell you everything. Even NASA. NASA, if you look in Hebrew, it means deceive.
That's right. I came across that. Yeah. That's right. It means deceive.
That's the funniest part. It's not really funny, but it's just ironic to me how they have all of this, but they still kind of tell you, like, what they're doing. Like, I really want to understand how or why they're doing that.
And everybody eats it up. That's what they want to hear. See, our lives are too short here. You know, it's a phenomenal lifespan. And between birth and death, what they have is called occupation. We're occupying ourselves between birth and death. And, you know, our meaning in life is meaningless when you look at the hundreds of thousands of years that mankind's been around, and our short little lifespan. It's meaningless. It doesn't count for anything. It doesn't contribute to anything. But we feel it important because we're conscious of our lifespan, and it's just basically how you occupy yourself from birth to death. And they do it very well by putting us to work and calling it taxes. Well, you got to pay for your roads and your police service and your space programs and all these wars we're getting you into, you know. So don't complain because you got a nice big TV, you're driving a nice car. Oh, by the way, don't forget to make your payments.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like, they fool you also because they make you believe that all this hard work you're doing is actually for yourself. No. You're actually doing it for you so you could have lived a dream and live right. But they're not doing it for you. They're doing it for them.
Yeah, for them.
They're only working and paying taxes because it benefits them. If it didn't benefit them, you wouldn't be doing it.
That's right. It wouldn't be there. It wouldn't exist because that's capitalism at its finest hour, is making money. At any cost, basically, and most of them are making it unethically. So that's where it becomes an issue for the whole general public. But, you know, look at these corporations. You know, look at your Facebook guys, your Alphabet guys, your YouTubes and Googles and your Gates and all them people. You know, like I said, they didn't get where they're at by being a Mr. Nice Guy. So
no, of course not. But this is the thing. This is how they've been able to have power for so long. They still allow a smaller group of people, and they call that the middle class, right? They let you get a taste of that money and power, right?
Oh yeah, that teasing, man, that teasing effect.
And that's why they have support, because these people in the middle class, and I'm sorry if I offend anybody, they really feel they could be billionaires and stuff like that. Maybe they can, but it's not going to be that easy.
Now that American dream doesn't exist anymore, so.
But they give you that, right? So like that, you play the game because you feel like you could get in that position too.
Yep.
But the only reason they have you there is to tease you with it. But when all these companies are getting so big and monopolizing and all that, these people I'm sure some are realizing it, but most people in the middle class, they don't realize that allowing this to happen affects them, because then that small opportunity that they're fighting so hard for to be in that 1% is getting smaller and smaller and smaller by the day.
Yep. In the past, since 2008, that has separated even tenfold, even more so, and that's part of the plan.
But that's why when they say, "Oh no," because the rich are the problem, they defend that because they want to be rich, but they're not realizing that even the rich are working against them. It's not just a poor versus rich; it's the rich versus everybody.
Yeah, everybody. Well, that's where the eugenics program needs to start, is at that 1% of the 1%, and the whole world would be better off. Not picking on the 99%. You go after that 1% of 1%, exercise some eugenics in that group of people. Just think how much better off the world would be. But I can go to jail for talking like that. I could be thrown off of the social media for talking like that.
But I don't support eugenics at all. But it is from, I'm not a psychologist or anything, but from what I've seen, in order to do or be a billionaire, you have to really not care about anybody. And if you don't care about, nobody besides yourself, and most of the time they don't even care about their own families, to put it that way.
Right.
But
yeah.
For you to be like that, that's psychopathic. You can't cure that. You just can't.
No, it's a disease. It's like having a disease.
Yeah, and I'm very anti-violence. I'm trying to do everything peacefully, and I want to do everything peacefully, and I'm going to. Even if it kills me, I'd rather leave this earth with a clean conscience. I don't have no blood in my hands.
Exactly.
Even if these people are murderers, I'd rather not be like them.
Yeah. No, I don't have to look over my shoulder. I got a clean, clear conscience. I feel comfortable with myself, and so. And that's how I live my life, and that's why I don't have anything. That's why I'm a gringo pobre. I just gave up. I used to have a lot of nice stuff, but when you have stuff, other people want it. Okay, so if you don't have anything, nobody bothers you, and that's where I'm coming from right now. I had the big house and lots of nice things, and then everybody came by and wanting it from you. Thieves and liars and con artists, and so if you don't have anything, nobody bothers you. And I think it's a more peaceful state of mind than always having to, if you're rich, there's a security budget that you have to implement. You have to have security to keep your stuff. My big saying is money is very easy to make. It's easy to make money. Keeping it in your possession is the work, is the job, is hard to do, because once you get money, everybody wants it from you. So,
and the more money you make, the more you got to spend. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, and the more it leaves, the more it goes, and that's kind of like the plan. So, no, like
this is the thing. If you have a lot of money and you're not going to spend it on things that are going to require you to pay money, then what do you have the money for?
Yeah, right. Oh, well, you can be a philanthropist and help other people, which is a noble way of being, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, so.
Well, I totally agree with that, but most of these so-called philanthropists, they're doing it for their own interest.
Right.
I'm sure there's been some, that really have made a positive change, but you probably won't hear about them too much.
They're doing it mostly for the tax deduction. They don't care about these people. They're doing it so they can have write-offs, and one of the big reasons why they don't have to pay a lot of taxes because they turn around and donate the stuff to certain areas, and a lot of these areas they donate it to are just as corrupt as they are. So like the
I don't
Clinton
know.
Foundation, and some of these Soros foundations, they're just more corrupt things, but they're legitimately set up where if you donate anything to them, then you can write it off your ingressos, your income.
I don't know how true this is, but I heard that Jeff Bezos from Amazon, when he goes to put any of his big distribution centers in any state, like if the state tries to tax him high, he says, well, if you're going to tax me that high or you're going to tax me at all, I'm not going to bring any jobs over here. So basically he's saying, I'll bring the jobs over here, but you're going to tax the workers. You ain't going to tax me directly.
Yeah. Well, he's got a big showing down here in Costa Rica. I know some people that work for him. So, but
He's everywhere.
Oh yeah, no, he's everywhere. He's a little goofball. He's a little goofball too, man. The guy's funny looking, but what is he supposed to be the richest man in the world now?
I think so, yeah.
He's involved.
Him and then after is Gates.
Yeah, and after him is Gates. He passed Gates up, and then maybe there might be an oil guy or a sheik down there in Saudi Arabia. This guy in Mexico, Chip Slim something in Mexico is one of the richest guys too.
I didn't know about that.
And he has almost like a gringo name to him, Slim something. He's pretty low key, but he's one of the richest men in the world too. Some guy out of Mexico. But and anybody like our age, if they got money, a lot of it is because they got inherited. They didn't have to work for it, so they don't know how to manage it right. I see a lot of trust fund kids floating around down here, so it must be nice. It must be nice.
So, Dr. Meno, did you have we've gone on a tangent here and we've covered so many bases, but that's what happens, when you're passionate about a subject, it just comes to you and just go from one thing to another. But I did want to leave a space for maybe something that you feel really strongly about that you want to share with the listeners.
Yeah, of course. I'm never lost for words usually. Bolivia, some of my latest things I've been researching, this whole Bolivia thing and them kicking out Evo Morales. Oh, this is something I noticed. Even the centering, when you put in your keywords, because you deal with YouTube, when you put in your keywords, that is being censored. And the example that I will say now is a video I uploaded yesterday. Bolivia canceled elections, blames COVID pandemic, but it's about the fascist control of the lithium. Now, when I tried to plug in Evo Morales' name, it kept trying to change it. I hate this automatic spell crap. It kept trying to change it. It wouldn't recognize the name. I noticed that also with Julian Assange. When you're trying to type in the Assange word, it won't pick it up. It keeps trying to put other words in there. Now, tell me, after all these years of these two particular names, I'm just using these as an example, but they're real cases that I have actually experienced. You would think that Julian Assange's name was added to a dictionary on the internet somewhere, the spell check. You would think that Evo Morales' name would have been properly added to the spell check. But see, it's not because they censor that stuff. They won't allow it in there because they don't want those keywords in search engines. This is another little aspect of this type of censoring going on. I don't know if you ever noticed that, but I'm really getting pissed at this auto check because their suggested words are biased, leaning you one way or another. And if you don't catch it, and they're correcting words that I have no idea that they went in and corrected it because I think everything's fine. And I go back, where did that word come from? But yeah, the censoring is even on that level. It is so much across the board. It's just phenomenal. All phenomenal.
Oh, so, yeah. I haven't noticed that per se, but what I do notice is there's a lot of topics that I like to Google search. And, Google gives you suggestions as you start typing.
Yeah.
And there's certain things that it looks like nothing's going to come up. There's no suggestions. But if you still press enter, and even then it's getting difficult. They might be on like the 20th page or something.
Right.
I don't know how far back they push it. But what I know is when there's certain topics that if you start writing it won't give you the suggestions for you to look it up.
Yeah. And that's done on purpose. And that's how it works. That's how it works. So yeah, they're crazy like that, and it's horrible to see, you know, and that's just part of leaning you one way or another through their algorithm configurations. Yeah, crazy stuff, man. I don't know. The whole world is crazy, and that's another one of my sayings. Is I'm watching the world collapse as a third party, and some of it's depressing. But you know, I'm glad I'm down here and I'm set. People thinking they're going to leave the United States, you know, they're not going to be able to leave. Even down here, if I go back to the States, I'll lose my residency. So they got things pretty clamped down here too, in a lot of respect. I don't know. I would tell people to start thinking about gardens, get some decent seeds. If you got a decent neighbor, maybe group up with them. But, you know, heck, I lived in a golf course community and I didn't know my neighbors. You know, that's
the case for most people.
You know, yeah, it's a case for most people. They don't really get to know their neighbors. They're too occupied. They don't even know their kids. They don't even get to know their own freaking kids because they're just too busy. You know, and you wonder why our kids are crazy and bonkers and going off on weird things, you know.
And it's not even that. They have all the bases covered. Even if you're not too busy, your kids are distracted with TV and video games or whatever. Even when you're in the home, even if you don't have a job that takes you away from the home, even there's distractions in your home that don't even let you talk to each other.
Yeah, well, you saw that one post I put up earlier about, you know, the old days. Can't believe we made it. Remember when life was simpler? And you know, I put a comment on there too about, if you remember, I don't know, you might not remember this, but when you're in your car before seat belts were mandatory, when your mom or dad came to an abrupt stop, that arm came out and slapped you across the chest and held you back from hitting the dashboard, you know, and that was like the joke, you know, if you ever watch Seinfeld, you know, it's Frank Costanza's "Stop Short," you know, and also if we didn't go back to school with stubbed toes and the skin hanging off of our toes and scars on our knees, we didn't have a good summer. You know, we didn't go rush off to the hospital over every little thing or run to the doctors. You know, our parents didn't do that back then. Man,
everything's been reversed now. Now you don't have a good day or a good summer unless you're like completely safe in your little bubble.
Yeah, in your little bubble, in your little brainwashing, let's control the information going into your bubble, and we're all.
Or the famous word now or term, your safe space.
Yeah, the safe space with your social distance. Yeah, see, these terms that get indoctrinated in our minds, and then we start accepting it, you know. And
look what it's telling you. You're safe in your personal space. If you're not in your personal space, then you're not safe. And then they're pretty much connecting that, like that you have to distance yourself from society.
But don't violate your personal space.
Yeah.
I said that to this lady once, you know, because we were talking about social distancing and personal space and keeping your distance. I go, don't worry, I'm not going to violate your personal space tonight. So.
Yeah. Before that was nothing. Before I'd just come up to my friend and slap him in the back of the head. And it was not a big deal.
Oh, yeah. I mean, shoot, you know, I don't know how many times I got beaten and slapped up in the head in the grocery store from my mother, you know, or stepmother. You know, these days, you know, you go to jail. You know, and that's, you see, everybody's a snitch now. Everybody's got a snitch on you. You know, they think they're going to get brownie points from the Almighty. And
yeah.
Snitch these days. And they don't understand, you know, the ramifications by doing that to somebody who could very well be innocent.
At the same time, though, like there is things that we should change. We should be more nice to each other, more courteous and all that. But you can't let that change go into the extreme where you have such a thin skin that everything's going to make you want to cry.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I still cry at movies sometimes, so I...
No, I don't mean it like that. I mean, like, you know, like...
I know.
Like, it's not good to insult each other, but if somebody insults you, you shouldn't feel like it's the end of the world. You should be able to take that and just keep going.
Well, see, now we got this new thing now called cyberbullying, you know, where kids are committing suicide over it. And there's no face-to-face contact with that or anything.
And I think the reason that's happening is because, like, they're teaching you, like, this is bad, this is evil, this is bad, this is evil. So, like, you have people treating you badly and you feel like it's the end of the world, and, you don't want to be in the world because you're taught to fear it instead of overcome it.
Right. And like I said, fear spreads faster than peace.
Oh, yeah.
And that's part of the thing, too. They can draw more flies with fears than with shit. I don't know. I shouldn't be talking. You're going to put this on the internet. I'll have to watch my language. Sorry about that. But
yeah, you could. I don't mind. We'll test out the waters. See if I get any strikes.
Well, people say that on TV now. So what the heck,
Well, we'll test it out, and as long as you don't go crazy and say like five curse words back to back.
Yeah,
in a whole sentence.
The whole George Carlin routine. The 7 words.
Yeah.
I love that guy. He was great. I even saw him live in Chicago once. So that guy's great. I like his humor, and I see it all around a lot. But this is what I kind of wanted my radio show to be in the States is like people sitting around in their living room talking politics, economics, sports, sex, whatever guys do when they sit around the living room bullshitting. This is kind of how I would have liked to have my radio show up there, but it was kind of hard to get that going, to get that developed. But once again, they didn't like how I was talking. They didn't renew my contract. The owner kind of was a little upset with me because I'm in a very highly Republican area in San Diego County, right next to Camp Pendleton, a big Marine Corps base. And here I'm talking about Bush needs to go to jail for war crimes, and I'm talking anti-war talk, So even back then in 2002 and 3 and 4 and 5, when I was doing radio there, they didn't like me either. And when I was studying and doing college radio, they called me in the office and says, you got to tone down your talk because our radio station relies on donations. We can't piss off any of our prolific donators. So, even then, college.
And that's how far they go too. Because I personally know from experience, there's just like with TV channels, whether they want to admit it or not. Some channels are being funded by the left, and some are being funded by the right.
Exactly.
And same thing goes for the radio station. So you have the liberty to talk within their agenda, within their boundaries, within their stuff. But the minute you go off from that, you're going to be taken out. Yeah,
and that's unfortunately the reality of the radio, TV, and media industry is that's how it is. And even, when I realized that myself, it was hard for me to get advertisers because they basically said, well, Steve, we can't piss off any of our Republican clients. We can't piss off any of our Democrat, because I advertise on your show and this and that. And I go, I understand. I totally agree. You're right. I'm sorry, but this is what I got to do. This is what people used to tell me. I sounded like Alex Jones. I had no idea who Alex Jones was, but people were telling me you sound like Alex Jones. So I did listen to him once and go, oh, man, I can't stand this guy's voice.
So let me ask you this, though. You told me something that you have the tape still?
I have all my radio shows that I did. I think I might just be missing 2 or 3 of them are in storage up there. And I would love to get them down here. I just need to get some money. Plus, I can't travel now anyway. And podcast all of my old radio shows, but it's, I think they're in a digital form. They're on like these little mini disc things.
This is a question I got for you, though.
Yeah.
Since that you were, it was your show, but you're still on that radio station. Do you have the rights to play that?
Oh, that's a good question. Sure, why not? Why wouldn't I?
I don't know. They might say that all that material is copyrighted. You never know. They try to own everything. So.
Well, this is with Art Astor Broadcasting. Who is the guy in Phoenix? KFNX. Some Italian guy there. Then the college radio. See, college radio used to be pretty liberal, and out there, but see, not anymore. Pirate radio is a thing in the past now. You don't have that open, airways like it did anymore. That's a good point. I never thought about that because even with music, some of these older video files and stuff, if there's old music in there, they're starting to ding it now.
I don't know if you do it from over there, you might be safe because you're not in the United States, but I don't really know how much of a reach they have if they feel like you're making money off something that they consider it's their property.
Well, I'm going to do it anyway, so I could probably just hide the fact that I'm on a particular call letter radio station. I could probably edit some of that stuff out, actually. I don't think they ran station ideas on my radio show. It was my hour. And I produced it myself. I produced all the show ins and outs. I had to solicit my own advertisers. Plus,
from what you're saying, I would say that you have the rights to it.
I think so too, because I pretty much on some formats I bought that hour. Okay.
Yeah, they basically just gave you the platform, but you own the show, so I don't see how they should.
Exactly right. It would be like if any infomercial that, because I know people kind of do that too. They buy a half hour, an hour, and just run an infomercial through there, and that's their show. So yeah, no, I would think I have all the rights to all my shows, and I'm telling you, I want to do it because the crap I talked about, 15, 20 years ago, it's all coming. It's all happening, I was way ahead of my times, I think, and people thought.
Yeah, that's why I'm interested, because there's a lot of how they say Easter eggs hidden in the past that you don't even remember you even talked about, and that they're relevant.
I probably didn't, most of the stuff I probably didn't, but I would say my most memorable interviews was. With a SNAP survivor, the network from the Survivors Network for those abused by priests. I had a guy in, and he was talking about how he was abused by a priest. I mean, I almost wanted to cry on the air there. I mean, it was just shocking the stuff this guy was coming out with. Plus, I had a mother whose daughter was, I remember the case called Danielle Van Dam in Poway, San Diego County. That was a pretty sad story, So I had these people on the show that were cloning that sheep out of Florida. The reason why I got a hold of them because they had doing these nude protesting out of the LA area. But then they were also the group that was doing these cloning. Daisy the sheep, I think the name was, and so I had some pretty fascinating interviews, while I was on there too. But mostly open forum. One of my best. Callers, fans was the guy from the Aryan Brotherhood that lived in Fallbrook. Spencer, God, I'm losing my mind here.
You have a lot of good material. I'm really interested in hearing all that.
Yeah, so I would like to go up and get those things. It's going to be a little expense. I need to ship that stuff down here on pallets or in a container.
Is that much?
Well, I got my other items, furniture, and pretty much our whole family's history is in the storage unit.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to get back.
I'm going to give you some advice, just try to do it yourself. Hopefully when they let you travel, I wouldn't trust anybody with that,
Yeah, no, because like I said, there's some, family heirloom stuff in there too. And another book I wrote on the Flying Dutchman is in there. I like to continue and finish that up. I'm an author. I got a book on Amazon, but I talk bad against the government. So it's not going anywhere. But I got a lot of orders coming in, but I'm out of books down here. They're all up there in storage, so I just got to cancel the order on them. So I got a pretty weird background on different jobs I've had. So I've done a little.
All right. Well. I'm thinking we're going to close this up because it's over an hour and I have some other stuff also on the show. People don't like to listen for too long. I already feel like it's going to be too long for people.
That's why I kept my videos shorter, 3 to 5 minutes. I looked at the Google Analytics and people aren't watching all the videos. all of them. They're like title readers and watch a couple minutes, get the idea, and go on to the next one. So that's another reason why I've been putting out a lot shorter videos lately instead of doing these research ones, because people lose interest after a while. But
I could actually do it. If it's interesting, I could stay a whole hour, 2 hours. I think 2 will be my max.
Yeah.
But I could do that. But not, most people don't. So now that you mentioned that, Anchor also has analytics. So I'll see how this first episode goes. If I see most people tuned out halfway or less than halfway, I guess I'll start splitting it up.
Well,
somehow.
then just do like 15 and 20-minute sections, and do shorter subjects or just one subject or something. But hey, this is our first time we're playing with this. I thought we had a good flow going, so we'll see.
And I also would love to have you back,
Yeah, anytime. I'm always up for this, getting the word out, changing people's mind. If you
Yeah. So before I let you go, remind everybody your YouTube channel and anything else you want to know. Maybe give your book name also, even though you don't have any copies. But yeah.
No, there's tons of used copies on there. Copies that I passed out for review that ended up on Amazon. It's called Hot Shots FNG. It's about a 20-man hotshot crew out of northern Arizona that I was on. My YouTube channel is the Peace Terrorist, but that's not getting many views because it's being sanctioned there. BitChute and Utah Gun Exchange, which I really like their format. They're probably the second best, probably the best format because YouTube's losing it. Peace Terrorist on there. Also, Dr. Meno, Dr. Meno RPS, which stands for Radio Pacifico Sur, is my main channel with the most views, 1.5 million views, 800 videos. Also, the Spanish channel, Dr. Meno 2, the number 2. So there's a few there you can check out on and subscribe to and get involved in changing the world one mind at a time.
Yeah, I gotta have you say it because I can't put any links on the podcast, so everything has to be verbal right here.
Okay, that's cool. And then the website is radiopacsur.com, RadioPacsur.com, Radio Pacsur, which stands for Radio Pacifico Sur. So that's the website, and we're working on that to try to get it better. See, even that's kind of banned on Google too, but people who know about it can access that. All the videos are on there, some other good information, some real estate stuff, touring stuff. So a little bit of everything,
All right. So
all right. Very cool.
Thank you for this conversation. I will be uploading it tonight, so you'll be able to hear it, and then I'll make sure to send you a copy also.
Okay, man. We'll keep in touch for sure, man.
All right. Don't hang up right now. Let me say goodbye to everybody here.
Okay. Do your closing.
Sorry, everybody. This is the first episode of Revolution, Evolution, Solution podcast with my guest, Dr. Meno, or Peace Terrorist. You have all his information here. He said, please check him out. And everybody have a good day and God bless.